Stadium, the NFL staged pro football's version of North and South. And while the Cowboys have had much success this season, Washington wasn't exactly prepared to secede from the divisional race. The Redskins hit hard, but the Cowboys struck deep with Tony Hill, the NFL's top receiver, catching 7 passes for 136 yards. Dallas possesses the number 1 ranked offense in the conference, and their strength lies in their balance. It is usually Tony Dorsett's uncanny moves which leave defenders in the dust. But on this day, his hands swept the Redskins off their feet. Dorsett scored his club record-tying 76 touchdown and gave Dallas a 13-0 advantage, which held until the opening moments of the fourth quarter, when Joe Theismann and Gary Clark, number 84, accounted for Washington's only points. While Clark is an asset to the Redskin offense, the blocking of tackle Dan McQuaid, number 60, proved to be a liability against number 77, Jim Jeffcoat. McQuaid's technique, as well as his footwork, allowed Jeffcoat to cash in on a team record 5 sacks. Doomsday left the Redskins crying Mayday as Dallas prevailed 13-7 for their first season sweep over Washington in 4 years. The victory also marked Tom Landry's 250th career win, an achievement Saints coach Bum Phillips must log many miles to reach. Bum's team certainly made the Seahawks' long journey to New Orleans a worthwhile one, though. Dave Craig fired his league-leading 20th touchdown pass to Darrell Turner, number 81. But it was the Seattle defense which limited New Orleans to only 183 total yards and notched 8 sacks. Here, number 77, Jeff Bryant, tied up 2 blockers, thus allowing number 68, Randy Edwards, to loop around the outside and trap quarterback Dave Wilson. Whether using a stunt or a powerful arm-under move by number 77, Bryant, Seattle shut down New Orleans. Seattle illustrated why their defensive dominance is a result of teamwork and opportunism. Jacob Green's interception return iced Seattle's 27-3 victory. Over their last 4 games, the Seahawks have allowed an average of only 8 points and appear to be hitting their stride toward the playoffs. The Saints have now dropped 5 straight, and Dave Wilson has lost his starting job. In Miami, the Dolphins hope to regain a foothold in the AFC East with the return of their mighty might with a magical move, Mark Duper, who had missed 7 games with a broken leg. He proceeded to celebrate his homecoming with the finest single-game performance by a receiver in team history. Duper caught 8 passes for 217 yards, including this 60-yard touchdown, and paved the road for his battery mate Mark Clayton, number 83, who had been shut out of the end zone for 8 weeks. Clayton's score gave Miami a 14-3 lead, but the New York Jets quickly displayed the form which had garnered them a 23-7 victory over Miami just 4 weeks ago. Freeman McNeil keyed the comeback, and with 1 minute 6 remaining, Ken O'Brien and Rocky Cleaver, number 89, hooked up for the apparent winning score. If the Jets won this contest, they would take a commanding 3-game lead over Miami. The Dolphins had their backs to the wall and welcomed even the most outlandish advice. But Miami stuck with their gambling philosophy and hit the jackpot with 41 seconds left thanks to a one-armed bandit named Mark Duper. With perhaps the most sensational catch of the year, Duper not only won the game, lifting the Dolphins over New York 21-17, he may also have salvaged their season, rekindling hopes of a division title. With their terrifying twosome back at full strength and the return of the team's confidence and poise, Miami may continue to write more amazing stories, with endings that not even Steven Spielberg could imagine. take over at quarterback for the winless Tampa Bay Bucks, ex-Steeler Terry Bradshaw had a predictable response. Preferring instead the comfort of the broadcasting booth, Bradshaw observed one source of the Bucks' frustration when tight end Jimmy Giles carried the ball like the proverbial loaf of bread and turned a long gain into a gift for the St. Louis Cardinals. But the Cards did little with the ball once they got it, as the Tampa Bay defense continually thwarted their efforts to sustain even a single scoring drive. Clutching the ball in a more conventional manner, Jimmy Giles regained some respect when his 6 catches totaled 134 yards and helped the Bucks get in range for 3 field goals and a 1-yard scoring toss from Steve DeBerg to Adger Armstrong, number 40. The 16-0 win was Tampa Bay's first shutout in 6 years and their first victory of 1985. For the Buccaneers and quarterback Steve DeBerg, it was a long time coming, and they could certainly sympathize with their friends in Buffalo, who haven't fared much better in '85. In an attempt to secure only their second win of the season, free agent quarterback Bruce Matheson made the first start of his 3-year career. Taking over for Vince Ferragamo, Matheson responded by leading the Bills in rushing with 54 yards and adding a touchdown. Prior to his arrival in Buffalo, Matheson was a backup in San Diego, but he was just the tonic the Bills needed as they capitalized on 6 Houston turnovers to shut out the Oilers 20-0. Unlike Bruce Matheson, Green Bay quarterback Jim Zorn could not escape the rush, as his pass protection frequently broke down against the Minnesota Vikings. The Packers' offensive line has had its troubles, as the Vikings' Doug Martin, number 79, found out when he was ignored and allowed easy access to the Green Bay backfield. For the second straight week, Minnesota running back Darren Nelson rushed for over 100 yards, and his third-quarter touchdown helped the Vikings take a sizable lead into the final period. Green Bay's response? Bring on quarterback Lynn Dickey. Dickey has admitted to losing his enthusiasm for the game, but his spirits could not help but be lifted when receiver Philip Epps added a fresh dimension to the term tight-roping the sideline. Epps stepped out at the 5, but the play served as a shot in the arm for the Packers, who scored 3 touchdowns in less than 5 minutes. The final score coming when safety Mark Murphy returned an interception 50 yards. And the Packers' 27-17 come-from-behind win, their first road win of the year. The Philadelphia Eagles built themselves a 17-0 lead against the struggling Falcons, who felt the heat from Reggie White, number 91, who turned in one of 7 Philadelphia sacks. The Eagles, who have yet to score a point in the opening period all year, waited until period 2 to reach the end zone when Leonard Mitchell, number 74, helped pave the way for Ernest Jackson's score, Philadelphia's first rushing touchdown by a running back in 1985. It wasn't until the fourth quarter that the Falcons decided to make it a game. A suddenly aroused Atlanta defense pressured Philadelphia into critical mistakes, and in less than 10 minutes, they tallied a field goal, a Gerald Riggs touchdown, and a scoring pass from David Archer to Joe Washington, number 24, to tie the score at 17. But as quickly as the Falcons stormed back, they faded in overtime. With the Eagles at their own 1-foot line, quarterback Ron Jaworski's pass to Mike Quick resulted in the longest scoring pass in NFL history, 99 2/3 yards. The Eagles' 23-17 win was their first ever in overtime, and even their record at 5-5, 2 games behind the first-place Cowboys and Giants in the NFC East. Undertaker, but his laid-back approach to coaching has breathed new life into the Patriots. Sunday in Foxborough, the Patriots buried the Colts with an avalanche of blitzes, registering 7 sacks. While this unit appears to be much improved, the New England offense is positively rejuvenated. Now the quarterback, Steve Grogan, is back in the limelight. Grogan hit on 2 touchdown passes, including this 19-yard shoestringer to Stanley Morgan. But the man most responsible for adding some zest to this otherwise one-sided contest was New England's Irving Fryar, number 80. By backtracking into the end zone with this kickoff, Fryar gave Indianapolis an easy 2-point safety. But while the former number 1 NFL draft pick may be shaky when it comes to the fundamentals of returning a kick, he has no such problem when it comes to retrieving a punt. Fryar's 77-yard run was his second punt return touchdown of the year, and it helped New England coast to a 34-15 victory. After losing 3 out of their first 5 games, the Patriots have won 5 in a row and are alive and well again as they share a spot atop the AFC East. Like the Patriots, the Pittsburgh Steelers are in the hunt for a division title. And like New England, they possess a speedy second-year return man, number 83, Louis Lipps. Lipps' second punt return touchdown of the year solidified his status as one of the league's most electrifying young players, something Chief rookie Jeff Smith, number 42, showed he has the potential to be. Of course, potential is one thing. Proving what you can do over the long haul is another. And on this cold autumn afternoon at Arrowhead Stadium, John Stallworth proved that he is one of the greatest players to ever grace the game. The 12-year veteran, who is the Steelers' all-time leading receiver, latched down to 7 passes for 126 yards and a touchdown, as Pittsburgh defeated Kansas City 36-28. Yes, indeed, John Stallworth's knees may be giving out on him, but he still knows how to hold on to the ball. At the opposite end of that spectrum, there is Giant quarterback Phil Simms. Turnovers and fumbles, especially on Simms' part, have plagued the Giants all season long. Yet number 11 has shown that he can be a crafty signal caller when he keeps a grip on the ball long enough to find an open receiver. Simms' 36-yard touchdown pass to number 88, Bobby Johnson, helped New York overcome the Rams' early 13-point lead. The Giants were up 24-16 in the fourth quarter when the Rams, in the need of an Olympian effort to get back into the game, got one from their gold medal sprinter Ron Brown, number 89. Andy Hedden, number 54, made what was probably a game-saving play because all the Rams got from Brown's heroics was a field goal, even though there was some controversy as to whether this Bobby Duckworth end zone catch was a touchdown, or, as the referee saw it, an incompleted pass. Duckworth was in obvious pain, but in Ram quarterback Jeff Kemp, he had a partner in suffering. Kemp, in his first start of the year, spent most of the day absorbing the punishment of the league's number 1 defense. The Giants prevailed 24-19 to remain tied with Dallas for first place in the NFC East. Who knows, with an overpowering pass rush and a gutty offense that knows how to come from behind, the Giants may be on their way to a division title. That is, of course, if they can consistently hold on to the ball. Fantasy is a perfect 10, and every football fan's desire is a well-proportioned team like the Chicago Bears. But the NFL's equivalent of a Playboy centerfold often looked more like a Mad Magazine cartoon last Sunday at Wintry Soldier Field. Thanks to the slippery conditions, getting a handle on a wet football wasn't as much fun as grabbing hold of a wet bikini. But a Bear defense loaded with heavenly bodies made the Detroit Lions see more stars than Dr. Carl Sagan. It was the kind of a day when making a pass at Bo Derek would have been more successful than completing a pass into 20-mile-per-hour winds. So the Bears relied on a ground attack that racked up 250 yards against the NFL's worst rushing defense. The Bears' 24-3 win gave them a perfect 10-0 record and a virtually insurmountable 5-game lead in the NFC Central Division. No such commanding leader has emerged in the AFC Central, where all four contenders have been jockeying for position in a frenzied manner that recalls a crowd pushing towards the fire exit in a smoke-filled building. Last week at Riverfront Stadium, the Cleveland Browns had hoped to claw their way past the Cincinnati Bengals. And when number 44, Ernest Biner, took a Bernie Kosar pass into the end zone, the Browns were able to make it a 7-7 game in the early going. But Kosar was intercepted twice in the final period, and one theft led to a Bengal touchdown that gave Cincinnati a 27-10 victory and a share of first place in the AFC Central. On this day in the NFL School of Hard Knocks, freshman Bernie Kosar's passing was not worthy of a passing grade. Perhaps he could take lessons from an old master named Dan Fouts. Last weekend in San Diego, Fouts faced the Los Angeles Raider team, whose slogan, "Commitment to Excellence," has taken on an arrogant air. Fouts responded to LA's overconfident contingent with a bold swagger that enabled him to produce over 400 yards plus passing for an NFL career record 6th time. While Fouts set out to commit the Raiders to oblivion, Mark Wilson prevented him from achieving this goal. In a seesaw battle that gave new meaning to the word one-upmanship, Fouts and Lionel James, number 26, erased a 20-13 Raiders lead in the third period. Charger receivers had no trouble holding on to Fouts' deftly thrown darts, but Charger defenders found it difficult to hold on to Jesse Hester, number 84. Hester put L.A. back on top 27-20, but in an offensive spectacle that featured more exciting performers than the night of 100 stars, San Diego's Gary Anderson was the next player to assume the spotlight. In a game that saw 8 different players cross the goal line, it appeared likely that number 46, Todd Christensen's touchdown reception with just under 2 minutes remaining, would give Los Angeles the final word. But then Gary Anderson displayed some body language that the Raiders found difficult to comprehend. Anderson's 38-yard catch and carry was the key play of a drive that culminated in Fouts' 4th touchdown pass of the contest. And number 18, Charlie Joyner's grab with less than a minute to play in regulation time